And I'm Lisa.
And this is the Paid Media Playbook, where we talk to marketing professionals about their challenges, tactics, and triumphs.
Join us here at Double Z Media for weekly conversations about media strategies for marketing leaders.
Welcome, Amanda Warren, Vice President of Marketing at Merrill Gardens. Amanda, you have had a long career at Merrill Gardens. Looks like you've been there 13 years, but if I look back in your LinkedIn, you actually were there even before that for a while. How did that work?
Yes. So funny enough, it was my second job out of college. So started in the finance world and then, didn't love it. So was looking for something different, something in the traditional marketing space. Ended up in senior living, not necessarily by choice or even thinking of it as a career path, just looking for a marketing position. So I'm one of many who just landed in it. I worked there for a few years, loved it, but left to sort of grow my career and learn a new thing, still industry related. Made my way back, and I've been there, 13 years ever since.
Worked your way up to VP of marketing, so you really can't get any bigger than that. So that's awesome. Tell me a little bit about Merrill Gardens and what you've done over the years, because I think you guys had acquired some things and, how's it changed?
I know. I mean, it's crazy to think about the 20-year span, and so much has changed. I've seen it larger than it is today. I've seen it very, very small and everything in between. So right now we are at 62 locations, 16 states, and really in that month-to-month rental market. So in the space, there's people who do entrance fee or buy-ins, and then there's really the monthly model, which is our model. So independent living, assisted living, memory care kind of varies location by location. So that really, it's funny, the world of marketing has changed drastically, if one might think, what it was like in 2005. Even it's the same industry. I get that question, how do I not get bored with doing the same thing, really? But again, that marketing space has changed drastically for everyone, and certainly in the senior living industry as well over those 20 years.
Heck yeah, I agree. This is not a boring, there's always something to learn, and there's always something that will drive you crazy so that you have to learn it.
Indeed.
So you have, when you're marketing to seniors, or I guess there's 3 different audiences, right? You've got the children of the seniors, you've got the seniors, and then you even got healthcare providers, right?
Yes, exactly. Yes. It's an interesting thing because I think it very much depends on the location. So even though, every location is doing similar senior living in some form or function, each location has a very sort of niche. What is our target? What is our market? What is our value there? If it's a newer building, it's going to target more independent living. So that messaging is very much to the seniors themselves and lifestyle and choice and sort of vibrancy. If you are thinking memory care, right, you're talking to those adult children, those decision makers, and certainly healthcare professionals. It's a message where a lot is in the middle. So it's a little bit of trying to always speak to the prospective resident in a way that would make an adult child also feel really comfortable about that decision. So really, for the most part, it's a resident first, talking about their lifestyle and their choice, and still really growing and being a part of community. And then in most cases, adult children see that as a value as well. So, the adult children are worried about the safety and sort of that security, and is mom going to get what she needs? And then the senior, though, they want to still have a life and still have that choice. So that balance is always there, always at play.
So I know, do both traditional, obviously, but then you have a lot of digital that you have to do, obviously, too. So how does digital marketing fit in, and what channels are you using that decision makers in the senior living space are utilizing?
So on the digital, it's really everything you would imagine. A lot of Google, a lot of the paid search. Facebook on the social side is still our target demographic. Instagram growing, but if we're going to choose one, it's still Facebook on that side. Retargeting ads at play, display, kind of playing around with Performance Max, Google's new AI-driven model. So a lot in that space. We have some communities who only do digital, and then we have some communities that do both. So we don't have any communities that don't do digital. So it really is digital first, and then where needed or warranted, supplementing with traditional. Easy example, if we have a brand new development that's, construction from the ground up, there is a lot at play. So we are certainly doing traditional from print or direct mail, and then all those digital channels as well.
It looks like you are working with your sales team a lot. And we've found that in our marketing, we've had to, as an agency, go in and have to play this liaison sometimes between sales and marketing so that we can measure the end of the funnel. Does that make sense? So like,
Yes.
we brought all these people to the website. We need you to follow up. And so it's just become I used to think they were so different, but they're so much part of one big funnel, and that we know that, but the fact that they didn't always talk, and they have to talk now, because otherwise we don't know what's working and what's not working if we can't measure where the leads are coming from. And you know what I mean? Once you get them into the CRM or whatever is going on with the salespeople, how does that work for you? Do you have to bridge that gap a lot?
Good question. So the senior living industry is a bit interesting in that for the longest time, it was sort of grouped as one. If you were marketing, sales marketing, didn't matter. There was no distinction. And so it lived that way for quite a while. And even to some degree, it still does. It's been a little bit of almost an effort to shift the paradigm to say, no, they are not the same. They are both well-deserved disciplines that must work together, but they each now need to be their own profession.
Right.
So in that sense, I suppose we're a bit fortunate in that we're piecing it back the other way, right? It didn't ever really start with the two silos. It's almost like we're creating the silos, but with that same joint. So it's an interesting way to look at it, and really fortunate, I think, because of that. Our team realizes that everything we do is great only so much as it really results in those end results, those move-ins. That's really what the end of the day, that return is. So we measure all of those traditional marketing analytics. We also pay very close attention to what is happening on those sales conversions as well.
Oh, that's cool.
We talked a little bit about how things have changed over the years, but what can you tell us about the pillars, the tried and true, consistent aspects of marketing that you've experienced?
Yes, good. Excellent question. I think one of the things that tried and true is consistency itself. So we do not have a bit of a roller coaster plan, if you will. So we find what works, and there's a lot of similarities market to market, and also things that are a little bit unique. But we find what works and we put that plan in place and we stick with it. So, there's often market factors that come into play, or pandemics that come into play, that sort of can cause some things to say, do differently. And yet we did not make drastic shifts. Like, we did not stop spending. We did not stop marketing. So that's a perfect example where we find what works consistently. And then, yes, there's like some ups, increases, decreases. But really, other than the onset of digital advertising, which, we're about 10 to 12 years of really full on in that space. That's been the major shift. Other than that, and then now a little bit of, what are we doing with AI? How are we playing with that? How is that coming into place in marketing? But the core, those pillars, Lisa, that you said, those are really still true. Do the consistent thing and do it constantly to really keep that pipeline going for the sales teams.
Do you feel like with our aging population, this is like more of a curiosity question, but is it like just crazy and hard to get into these places? Because you know what I mean? Is it just like doing it in itself because there's so many boomers that are getting old?
Not yet, but it will in theory. So a couple things have come to play. Yes, you pointed to the boomers, right? They're finally at the age where people are moving in. So average age, give or take, really is, depends on the community, but call it like mid 80s. And that does depend on the community. So our boomer population is still a little young for that.
True.
Boomers are just hitting that 80 mark. So some, yes, but moving that direction. Now, the other thing that's happened is that real estate development has really, really slowed down. It's hard to finance big construction projects these days. So there's not a lot of new development happening. So the sort of the forecast is that will come to sort of a turning point, right? So now there is enough inventory, if you will, for the people who are raising their hands today. But fast forward 12 months, 24 months, until that real estate pipeline can turn around, we will come to that point where there's just not enough inventory to meet the projected demand.
I know, and there'll be some way to figure it out for the boomers. And then when the Gen X comes, we're just going to be screwed for some reason. I just know it.
Yeah, I feel that too.
I don't know what it is. There'll be plenty. No, they'll still be in there because they live forever. The boomers live forever, and then we'll have no place. That's what it is. Right? Okay.
Yeah. We'll have to just rely on some magical technology that doesn't exist yet.
Exactly. That's true. Okay. There's always that to look forward to. Yay. All right. Okay.
I
Next
read a really
question.
funny
Oh,
article.
go,
This
Lisa.
is only tangentially related about 55 plus communities. So not quite
Yeah.
elder care, but 55 plus. Apparently, the new generation of people moving into those communities are a little too hip, young, and wild for the people who are currently living there. And there have been some culture clashes, which I think is
Oh
delightful.
man. It is delightful. And it's such a good point. It's funny. We talk a lot about what, like, even the product, right? The product of our senior living. What we have now is not what somebody who is, 70 today, who's going to move in 15 years, what they will want or expect. So there's,
Right.
again, another one of those clashes, right? That growing demand, and like what people want is different than what a lot of communities were sort of originally planned for. So there will be a lot of that shift happening here.
Yeah, I think that is such a good point. If you think about the fact that you're coming into generations, and more so that we need, our algorithms and everything has always been catered specifically to us. So if I want a punk rock, senior living place with bands playing, and that's what I want, and is
Yeah.
that happening? I don't know.
Yeah,
You always
yes, I know. Yeah, that fit. I mean, it's definitely a thing that's on top of my mind, and sort of the old joke of like people don't want to just play bingo. Okay, well, I think everyone loves bingo. However, it's not just activities, right? It's that whole enrichment. Like I want to
yes.
volunteer, and I want to participate, and I want to, maybe I still work part time. There's a lot
Yeah,
that is still happening
that's
with
a
our
good point.
residents today. So that's happening today, and certainly will just grow and increase.
So, how do you build trust in your brand when you're dealing with one of the most like emotional or significant decisions that like families
Yeah.
can make?
Yeah. You know, we have a lot of things going for us, which is excellent. So, a family owned, operated company, fifth generation family. So, the senior living component has been around for over 30 years. So, those are things we really hang our hat on, right? Like, that's hard to find. It's becoming more and more rare in, well, most industries, so ours as well. So, those sort of, I guess, cornerstones of like, here's who we are, here's how we were built from the ground up, really play a big role. So that I think adds to that credibility. That's the branding component. And then talking about that relationship with sales, that's where that's built. Like
Yeah.
I listen, and I'm going to earn your trust. And I know that this is a long sales cycle. This is not like I come in and I make my decision for most people. It is
Yeah.
a phone and email. And then maybe I'm finally ready. And then I'm going to come in, and then I'm going to maybe bring my sister. And then
Yeah.
maybe we'll finally bring mom together, right? There's just a lot. So I think it's a willingness to have those ongoing sort of almost social work conversations on that sales side. It's a process that does not happen quickly and should not be taken lightly, for sure.
Wow. I get it. I was just thinking, wow, you're right. It's almost like social. It's social work, and
Yeah.
essentially, because you're
Yes.
finding a home and
Yes.
cycle. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
with,
then you're having hard conversations either with the prospective resident themselves, right? Like none of us want to get old. None of us want to leave a home that we've had forever, or raise children in, or whatever the case might be. So it's a little bit of confronting that, acknowledging it, and that it's okay, and then helping people through that. And then they're adult kids too. If it's a case where maybe a parent needs care or needs memory care, there's so much guilt and shame around that, which is so hard to just, again, you're building that trust by sitting with that person, acknowledging, educating, being that resource along the way. So it's a delicate balance, I think, on that sales side to be it's sales job, and yet
yeah.
also such a human connection to get that trust factor, I think, is
Yeah.
huge.
Wow. So, and this is me. I'm like the only person in the whole world who wants to go to senior living.
It sounds great too.
I think it's just like, I don't, I don't know. I've lived in Alaska for 3 summers, and like all my meals were made for me, and like everything was kind of mapped out like a cruise ship, except I had to work
Yeah.
my ass off. But the point is, there was so much simplicity in that I feel like some people are just better off that way. Like, oh yeah, we'll go to the pool, and then we'll get together for theater class, and then we can. I mean, I've been thinking about that since I remember 8th grade. I was jealous of seniors like doing their morning walks when they had to go to school. Like, so
Right?
anyway, some of us are.
Yes.
The trust is there.
The trust is there. And it's so funny. Most people say right after they moved in, they're like, "Oh, I wish I had done this before. I wish I had
Mm.
done this sooner." Like that is such a common thing, which, I and most people, if they were to sit and like really think and contemplate on that, would say, yes, I want to do this, I should do this, but there's barriers in the way, right? I got to sell
Mhm.
my home and I got to get rid of my
Go through all
stuff. I
this
got to do
stuff. Yeah.
conversations. Can I afford it? Like, just there's a lot.
I've got a
So I think,
cat. I've got
oh my
five
God, I
cats.
can't forget. So there's a lot. There's a lot there that I think most people are very just delighted when it's all said and done. But that in between is hard,
Mhm.
and
Yep.
it's hard to do.
Well, thank you so much for sharing.
Amanda, if you could go back in time and talk to yourself at the very beginning of your career, what's one piece of advice you would give?
Oh, that is such a good question. I can only come up with one because
Oh,
What's the
one
first
piece
thing
of
that comes to
advice.
mind? Yeah.
Okay. One piece of advice I would give to myself would be to not take any one decision too seriously, that there's a lot of room for growth and change and
mm,
learning along the way, and that you won't ever know everything, that you will always, always have something to learn and grow and do better at.
I love that. Yeah. I
I
could
think
have
that's advice
learned
I
that
needed
too.
today. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't stress about like
Yeah.
every choice because, and it's like everything is a journey too, right? Like if
Yes.
you go down this path, it's still, it's
Lots of
a
other roads.
journey, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Other things open up. So, yeah.
Yes. So true.
Yay. Well, thank you so much, Amanda. And we will post Amanda's LinkedIn and her information on our podcast description. So thank you, Amanda.
Thank you both. This was fun.
Thanks for listening to the Paid Media Playbook. Want more content like this? Follow our agency, Double Z Media, on LinkedIn. You can find the link in the episode description.